Welcome to this lecture. Today I'm going to start talking about Lorentz transformation and the special theory of relativity, a brief introduction to it. So, here I will discuss that what is the motivation behind the Lorentz transformation and special theory of relativity, or what gives us the idea to talk about Lorentz transformation and special theory of relativity. For this, let us talk about or let us recall some important findings. Let me recall some important findings. So, let me talk about these findings. So, first of all, non-invariance of it's a non-invariance of Maxwell's equations under Galilean transformation and another thing is that null result of Michelson-Morley experiment. Let me correct it. Michelson-Morley experiment. So these are the two very important findings, and these findings suggest following alternatives. These findings suggest following alternatives. So let me talk about those alternatives. So first of all, first thing that may be possible, that Galilean transformations was correct or were correct, and something wrong with the Maxwell equations. There is one possibility that Maxwell equations may be wrong, but Galilean transformations were correct. There is one possibility, and another possibility is that Galilean transformations applied only for Newtonian mechanics. So this is the second possibility that about which we can talk, and then third alternative, that Galilean transformation, that's a very important finding, alternative. So that is Galilean transformations and Newtonian principles of relativity are supposed to be wrong and there exist new relativity principles relativity principles, right? And which are valid in mechanics as well as electromagnetism. So out of these three alternatives, this third seems to be more sound. So that means people start thinking in terms of new transformation equations or new principles, and which may be valid in both mechanics as well as electromagnetism, right? So that means two possible approaches are there to answer these things, that two possible approaches are there. They are based on third alternate. It's based on third alternate. So what is that? Let me talk about these briefly here, that what are two alternatives we have. So there's the idea of new transformation equations. And these new transformations are known as Lorentz transformations. Right. And these transformations are based on Michelson-Morley experiment and need of modification of Galilean transformation. So there are two possibilities, right? And another possible approach is that a new theory is needed, in need of new theory, and we call that new theory as Einstein's special theory of relativity. Right? And it is based on properties of Maxwell's equations, and negative results of Michelson-Morley experiment. And for this, Einstein suggested postulates of special theory of relativity. So in this chapter, or in this section, I will discuss both Lorentz transformation and special theory of relativity, and both will give the same result. So first of all, I will discuss with you the Lorentz transformation, then after that its consequences, and finally I will talk about the Einstein special theory of relativity. Right? So that's all for this lecture.